Hello and welcome back to another episode of Checkpoint Radio. My name is James and I'm here with Ben and Connor. We've got quite an interesting episode coming up today. We're going to be diving into the world of cloud gaming and talking about our experiences with the likes of GeForce Now, plus the streaming offerings from both Xbox and PlayStation, as well as giving our thoughts on cloud gaming generally. Is there a future for cloud gaming in this industry, or are consoles and PCs here to stay? But before we get into that, gentlemen, good to see you. I feel like it's been a little while since we've actually had a catch up. Outside of this podcast. How are you both doing, Ben? You good?
Yeah, all good, thank you. It's been another week off for me. Feels like I'm always having weeks off, and I'm not complaining.
You dosser.
I know, mate. I'll take every week off I can get. It's been a pretty mental week for me gaming-wise, because after Alan Wake 2, I've been in that hole of despair of what on earth do I play next? Because what on earth is going to match Alan Wake 2? So I can go through the list of games I've been dabbling in. I've literally done like half an hour of this game, turn it off, half an hour of another game, turn it off. So
what have you been playing?
It's a long old list. I surprised myself. So I was playing XCOM 2. That's really fun. The first Divinity, because I know it's going to take 1,000 hours, but I eventually want to make my way through Divinity 2, and then Baldur's Gate. So I'll come back to you in 10 years when that's done. Counter-Strike 2, dabbled in that with a few friends, which is fun. I think I might give Assassin's Creed Odyssey a go. I launched it the other day, maybe.
Odyssey, the obviously the ancient Greece.
Yeah,
Greece one.
yeah.
Oh,
so I know it's a bit of a slog. I've been working through both Max Paynes. So I completed the first Max Payne the other day because obviously that's where Remedy started, which was fine. Quite fun. Obviously aged, but there's lots of charm to it, I'd say, after this long. And you can see obviously Sam Lake but just the effort that he put in on his first game. So it's really quite good to see. Working my way through Max Payne 2. Gears of War 2, as that was part of our episode today. Ghost Recon Wildlands, World of Warcraft Hardcore Classic, and then I dabbled a little bit in Subnautica.
You're a masochist.
I am, mate. I tell you what, I didn't enjoy any of them as much.
I'm not going to play Baldur's Gate, best game of the year to most people. I'm going to go and play the first two games that led to that game from Larian.
It's like where it all came from.
Which like 500 to 600 hours each. No, I'm not going to play that. And then
but you do know as well, but like these games, they aren't like canonically like 1, 2, and 3. You know that, don't you? You don't need to play those. Those other two games to play Baldur's Gate 3.
But I'll give Divinity some credit though; they are good games. So it's like I am enjoying them.
They're incredible games, but it's like me. Oh, Spider-Man 2's out. I'm not going to play that. I'm going to go through Insomniac's entire library.
Yeah.
It's just like
I've got a bad. But it's been enlightening.
No. I respect the way that you play games because when you go in, and I haven't got that dedication.
I don't have that attention span.
I'm like
whatsoever.
a magpie, and I see something shiny. I'm just going to jump into it.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to play Lords of the Fallen because that looked quite fun, and the new Yakuza's out. But then the problem is, like, the new Yakuza's out. I'm gonna have to make my way through every single Yakuza.
6 previous Yakuza games that need to be.
There's more than that. There's like 50. There's like 15 of them, and some have. Oh
no, there's 6 like mainline ones, isn't there? Then there's like a bunch of fucking spin-offs and.
Yeah, there's loads of spin-offs, and some haven't been ported to the West. And that new one got made in 6 months.
So you're gonna have to go out to Japan and live there for like 6 months.
I need to play the 3.2 episode
just to get the ones you can't get your hands on over here.
Yeah, the new one it was meant to be DLC, and then they just made a whole entire game.
I
don't know how they keep pumping them out. To be honest, they just pump them out.
Studios
every year, just a new Yakuza game coming out.
I think they use a lot of their old assets. Like I think this game is
100%.
basically set in the same map as a game before it, so it's literally just we've got the map already made. Let's just make a story.
The mainline Yakuza games where you play is his name's eluding me. Like the main character, which they've brought back. They wasn't meant to bring him back, but they brought him back. They're all set in like the same square, so it's just like the same map, and then it just like change a few things and missions elsewhere and stuff like that. So
I'd like to make my way through them one day, but I've got everything else to play.
You got so many fucking games on your list. See, I'm not quite like a snob when it comes to sort of old games. Like I don't particularly like playing old games, and I think part of the reason for that is that like if I go back to revisit a game that I loved when I was a kid, and like looking at it now from the perspective of playing a game like you mentioned, Alan Wake, for example, that the presentation is just like through the roof.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not the same experience when you go back to those older games, and that's
And
just
the
me
memory
though.
warps it too.
Yeah, because like at the time of you playing that game, you think, oh, this is cutting edge. It's like the fucking bleeding edge technology. It's like the best thing I've ever seen. Obviously, it was 10, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
but now maybe not so much. So yeah, I guess there is that whole perception of it for me personally.
Yeah. I played this game that actually surprised me as well. I completed a game called The Darkness 2 a few days ago, all the way through. It took me like, I could have done it in a day, but it took me like a day and a half. But I tell you what, the game is old, and it's from who's the guy who are the guys? Is it 2K who's done BioShock Infinite? Yeah, so it looks very much like BioShock Infinite if it came out 5 years before BioShock Infinite came out. So like you can imagine the technology of it. And yeah, the game's a bit rough around the edges, but it is quite fun. But I wouldn't recommend anyone to play it because it's not amazing. But if you were to take the story and turn that into like a film or a TV series, the story itself has got actually some incredible twists and turns, and some interesting characters, and like love and death, and like obviously there's this whole darkness thing. Like turn that into a series, it would do amazing. But it's just a shame that it's one of those games that came out too soon. No one cared. No one heard of it.
Yeah. Well, I would have been able to experience some of that story, Ben, because I noticed you were streaming it the other day. Well, I tuned into your stream on 3 separate occasions on that day, and you were AFK every time. So I just like, fuck this guy. I'm not watching his stream ever again. Close that, left.
In my Twitch description, it literally says, like, if you enjoy someone who AFKs all the time, then I am your guy.
The thing is, though, like, sometimes you'll play a game and you'll be streaming at like 7:30 in the morning, and you'll be there. Like the time you expect someone to not be streaming, you are streaming. And then when I try to like watch at a normal time because it says you're online or you're broadcasting or whatever, it's nowhere to be seen, just an empty chair.
Yeah, I think I need to give up on the whole streaming dream.
It's like you was streaming and you was playing a game. I think might have been the original BioShock you was playing, and you paused it and you just went on like a Wikipedia deep dive.
Did I?
Yeah,
10 out of 10 content, mate. This is incredible.
Was it about gaming though?
Yeah, it was about gaming. Okay. Go, like, who did this? And I said, it's like Ken Levine. And then you went down like Ken Levine's Wikipedia, and then that led to, hit the mic. Went somewhere else, and you was going, and then just going, what was that game from a while ago? And then you described it, and I think it was me or someone else in the chat told you what game. Then you went and looked at all the games that they made.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see like where inspiration goes, and gaming is just, I don't know,
watching someone browse the internet.
Yeah, and that's something I get from playing like some of these old school games. Like I wouldn't say I am like a retro old school gamer at all, but going back through some of the legendary games of the past is kind of like, wow, this is actually kind of where this certain game mechanic or this certain element of gaming has sort of sprung from fucking decades ago.
Yeah, interested to see kind of where it all started, especially if you're going through the back catalogue, like a specific studio, like Remedy, for example, like you say. Yeah. Interesting to go back and see all the influences now, which are like so kind of evident in their current games. And
you guys were talking about there's links throughout these certain games, and you've been very good at like saying what you want to say but not saying it, because I haven't completed it. And it's like Charlie Day and Always Sunny, with like you've got the pins in the boards, and you're sitting there going like, you're sitting there going, well, no, this was in this game, this is in this game.
Yeah.
So it's quite fascinating to see. But I would have just waited, because you played the Max Paynes. I would have just waited for the remaster. That's how my brain works.
said this the other day. I said,
he did
you're going to wait for the remasters because they're coming soon, and you went back to do the originals anyway.
But I'd only ever watched my dad play the Max Paynes as a kid. So when I played it, I was like, did I actually play this? And I was waiting for any sort of memory to come through of, oh yeah, I've done this level before in the past. I definitely hadn't have played those games in the past. But you have to admire what they did. Like,
they're good games.
Yeah, the slow-mo, the physics of the world, the story's actually pretty good. The combat is okay. The jump from Max Payne 1 to Max Payne 2, and I think there was only a year or two between the games, was incredible. Like playing Max Payne 2, the graphics are like 10 times better. The combat's insane.
like
And
that whole franchise is obviously they had the film that got spun off from that, but even like Rockstar wanted to get involved with that franchise, and they made the third one. So yeah,
and it's just incredible to see, like, now playing a game like Alan Wake 2, where it really feels like Sam Lake could unleash his mental fucking, just how clever he is on a game and really go full depth on everything that he could possibly want to do. Going back to a game like Max Payne 1, where you see obviously he's acting as the main character, and then you've still got like live action stuff. They were blending gaming and live action all the way back in the first Max Payne. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, go on.
I watched a
go.
clip of him with. He did something with the BAFTA Gaming. He did like a sit-down series with them. I didn't realize how young he was. Like he's been making games for like
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, and
So,
I think he's only like 50
so
now.
he's had all these, like you said, he's had these things in his head, and the tech's only finally got to where he's needed it to be almost.
But do you know what else I found out the other day? I did another deep dive. This is one of the last points I've got. So the voice actor for Max Payne, get this, is the voice actor for Alex Casey in Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
It's really cool, and it's cool how they've kind of kept people in their games, like throughout all of their games, like people that they've worked with before. Because Dr. Darling in Control, he's the voice of Alan Wake. He voices Alan Wake.
How cool is that?
Yeah, and I think part of that as well. I mean, I might be kind of fucking barking up the wrong tree here, but I think part of it is to do with the whole. Well, it kind of emphasizes the whole sort of like time travel / multiverse concept that is layered in throughout these stories of like there kind of being otherworldly forces at play and things like that. I guess it kind of blends it all together and it just adds to the story. But I think from the sort of basic level of just having people that you've worked with and people that you really like come back and do voice acting on your future franchises and future games is just pretty cool.
Yeah. So, it's like many film directors out there that do this similar kind of thing, don't they? They'll look after actors that they've loved. And
you look at like Scorsese, obviously got Killers of the Flower Moon, which is out now. I think it's his and De Niro's like 10th or 11th collaboration.
Wow. And then you've got, what's the fucking guy? Inglourious Bastards and stuff.
Oh, Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, he does it with like
Sam Jackson and
that German lad.
Keitel was in a lot of his films, and Christoph Waltz.
That's it. But
Anyway, Connor, I don't think you've been gaming as much as Ben, have you, this past week?
No, it's impossible. I haven't got enough hours in the day. Just a quiet week, really. I've been working. Football Manager's fully released, even though it was in a beta, but they're not calling it a beta. It's very strange. And then I jumped into Jusant.
Oh, yeah. Still got released.
Which is going to be the game I play over Christmas. I really like the vibes of it.
Cool.
So it's a nice, chilled, relaxed game. But barring that, nothing much. And chipping away. I've fixed Alan Wake 2, so now I can actually hear things.
Good.
Wicked. You're in for a great time, Alan Wake 2.
Yeah. It's a shame that you had those problems, but...
Yeah, it's fine. I just uninstalled it, reinstalled it, and then verified, and it has sort of cleared most things up. It's still a bit choppy during cutscenes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those audio bugs are still in the game. Even I think they did release a patch like the other day. But as far as kind of like my own playing of the game, right up till the very last moments of finishing the game, I was getting those audio bugs as well.
I only had it once quite bad, where it was a phone call that I had, and it was like the phone call was so far away, I could almost hear that, like, the emitter of the sound, if you know what I mean, was miles away, and you could just about hear it. It was really weird. Yeah. But that was all I had bug-wise, actually. My Alan Wake experience was quite bug-free.
So, yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's a beautiful game. And it's just, I haven't been able to get immersed because every sort of cutscene and, like, it's just like, can't hear nothing. And then,
that sucks.
So, I don't know whether I'm going to restart or, I don't know.
It depends.
I've just got to, like, the subway part, so...
Yeah, you're not that far into the game, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd say keep soldiering on.
Yeah, so...
Because you might get into that loop that I got into, is like, I've done all this, bored, quit.
It's a shame, because I like... When it was running smoothly, it's a brilliant game, fantastic. But it's just like certain things I haven't got the context for, and then I fell through the map, which was weird.
How are you with like spooky games?
I'll just do like a little jump. I'm not too bad. And I'm just like, I remember when I first played, obviously the opening mission or whatever, you got that fucking naked dude running through the forest. And it's all, you can hear things going off like the corners for, oh, something's
Don't
coming
like
out.
this. Yeah.
And then like a deer popped up. I thought, oh, okay. And then
You got me.
And then you get like Alan Wake's face just like fucking jolt and just goes, oh, like that bit got me. And then I've got used to that things are going to pop on the screen.
Yeah.
That happens throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing though. Like the game's actually like not scary, but there's like so many jump scares, and the jump scares always fucking get me as well because I'm just glued to the screen looking at what's going on. And yeah, I think we'll probably talk about Alan Wake 2 like quite a lot in our sort of Game of the Year episode, which we're going to do in a couple of episodes time. So yeah, we can get really into it then. But I think Alan Wake is quite generous with the survival aspect of being a horror survival game.
I agree.
So, but yeah, we'll talk about that more when it comes up. But yeah.
How are you, James?
Well, I'm good. Thanks for asking. We've not really got enough time to talk about what I've been up to, so let's move on.
Sorry.
That's all right. Right, so, anyway, I thought before we get into the main chunk of the episode, I thought we'd just have a quick look back at the recent year, because there's a lot of shit's been going on lately, and we haven't really had the chance to sort of sit down and talk about what's been happening. So, yeah, I thought we'd just have a little catch up and discuss some various stuff that's been going on. I wanted to start with quite like a sort of easy thing, really, or something that's been happening recently. So, we know Modern Warfare 3 has recently come out. Very poor reception. 16-month development cycle. I mean, I don't know what is next for this franchise, to be honest. It seemed like Activision were all for delaying a new mainline Call of Duty game and giving Modern Warfare 2 a couple of years to sort of, mature. Do its thing, mature. And we never got that in the end. So I don't really know what's happened. I mean, has anyone played it? Has anyone watched it, looked at it?
No, so I definitely sort of wanted to see what the reception was like before I bought this one, especially because we were promised what you just said, that 2-year game cycle, and then obviously they lied and released this game. So I was like, well, it doesn't feel like it's probably had much development time. Obviously 16 months makes it one of the shortest development times for a Call of Duty in ages, apparently. Obviously the poor reviews as well for the solo campaign, lots of people complaining. I've sort of seen some mixed reviews on Steam for the positive, where some people are saying like, this is exactly what I was wanting from COD, sort of fast, quick pace, run around, and that's
I think that's copium. Like,
yeah, maybe.
And this is the problem. I've had issues with Call of Duty for like a decade now because every game feels similar to me.
Yeah,
and I'm not a massive first-person shooter fan anyway, so I can sort of step away and look at it for what it is, for example. But there are COD fans, and you see it. Me and James play FIFA every year, and we're in that sort of boat. You play it at first, like I've played this year's EAFC, and at first it's like, oh yeah, it's an improvement on last year, and then you play for a week, and it's like, no, this game's worse than last year.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, so there were rumours that this was actually meant to be DLC for Modern Warfare 2.
Mate, 100% it was meant to be fucking DLC. Like, I don't think anyone can deny that at this point. Considering the fact that they said we're going to give it like a 2-year sort of release cycle for Modern Warfare 2. The content in Modern Warfare 3 was purely a mid-cycle up like expansion.
Yeah.
Like,
old school maps.
Exactly. And I fully believed at one point that they would release this expansion. It wouldn't be priced as a full game. It might be like £29 or something like that. Yeah, maybe even £39.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get a bunch of new maps. You'll get an update to obviously the Warzone and stuff like that, and everything. Maybe even some campaign related stuff or some story related stuff. And that is exactly what we've got.
Yeah.
And the problem is
full price.
Yeah, and you mentioned people, Ben, who have been sort of giving it positive reviews on Steam. And like, I don't want to kind of blame anyone or anything in particular for Modern Warfare 3, but I think a lot of the people who really went over the top with the criticism and the whinging about Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2 from last year are partly to blame for Modern Warfare 3 at the moment. I think that Activision got really sort of like got their backs up because people were complaining that Infinity Ward were taking the franchise away from what it traditionally kind of is, the fast-paced, slide cancelling, reload cancelling, bunny hopping kind of arcade shooter that it is.
Yeah.
But I personally really enjoyed what Infinity Ward were trying to do with Modern Warfare.
Me too.
Like this Modern Warfare reboot. But because of the amount of people, the amount of backlash, and it's all like streamers and like, you know, Call of Duty people, but people that play COD like religiously, like the way sort of Connor and I play FIFA, for example. The problem is that when you kind of complain and hark back so much to a traditional, whatever the game is meant to be, you're kind of like stopping the developers from innovating the game and modernizing it and bringing it into,
they need to
like,
listen less almost.
And it's really irritating for me because like I like Call of Duty. I really liked Modern Warfare 2019. I thought that game was fantastic. I thought that was the best COD has been for 4 years, and a lot of people agreed with it. But you know, they tried to take it a step further into that sort of immersive milsim type game, more of a tactical shooter with Modern Warfare 2 last year. They made changes to the mini-map. They took out ridiculous mechanics like slide cancelling, and everyone fucking hated it. There was so much backlash about all these little tweaks and changes that they made that obviously Activision thought, well, if we want to maintain this kind of Call of Duty first-person shooter dominance, we should maybe listen to these people and go back to what Call of Duty used to be. And I get it. The fans obviously dictate how successful your game is by buying it, playing it, and staying on it. But at the same time, it's like, I feel quite bad for Infinity Ward because I think they are a super talented studio that aren't really able to do the things they want to do.
Yeah.
I also think people have allowed this to happen. Like, if in the past 13 years, how many of the CODs have been good? But they sell $1 billion worth every year on the weekend it gets released.
I'd like to see the financials for this one because I haven't seen how much.
It'll stay quiet. Xbox don't release financial details unless they're doing very, very well. Like they've only just shown, like, they don't show Game Pass numbers. They don't show anything like that. And unless this game broke Modern Warfare 2's
and they
numbers,
want to flex.
But Activision have been getting away from this for years. You look at what they've done to Overwatch. Look what they've done to Diablo. Look what they've done to any franchise that Bobby Kotick and his little horde of minions have got their hands on. Call of Duty would come out every 6 months if they had a chance.
Yeah. But it makes me wonder then as well, like you said at the very beginning, James, what's next for Call of Duty? So if this development cycle was rushed and that crunch time was like apparently quite bad from what some of the developers have said, are they even in development for the next installment of Call of Duty, or are we now going to have like a 2 year wait?
You've got 3 studios working simultaneously. That's how this one comes out this year, one comes out next, one comes out next.
The thing is, like, they're probably so far through any Call of Duty development on any game at any one point that if they say we need to get this fucking game out ASAP, they will just get it out as quickly as they can.
Yeah.
Case in point, Modern Warfare 3, because I'm surprised that Infinity Ward didn't get to make Modern Warfare 3, considering they made Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2. I thought they'd be just the people that make Modern Warfare 3. I think that franchise was taken off of them, and Sledgehammer were kind of like told to make Modern Warfare 3, turn it into the expansion that it was meant to be, and then try and spin it as a full game. Because in Activision's eyes, maybe they need to recover the bad sentiment they've got from the sort of criticisms of Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 2019.
Infinity Ward's next game's Black Ops. Just called Black Ops.
Look, if it was up to me, right, if I was Phil Spencer, and I was like, you know, in this be able to decide all of these things, I would let Infinity Ward make another game. So make a different game. Do whatever you fucking want. Like, pitch us an idea you've got, because, like I said, that studio is super talented, and like Modern Warfare 2019 was one of the best first-person shooters in terms of like its mechanics that's come out in recent years. It feels so good, that game, and there's so much potential for that studio to make like great games. But I think they're really held back by Activision. I think that a lot of the studios under the Activision are equally held back as well.
The one issue is, and it's an easy fix, but Xbox, they did it with Bethesda. They stand off when they go, right, you're still in charge of this company, but you're under our umbrella. Similar to what Sony do with Bungie. You carry on doing what you're doing, and we'll get involved. If you need help, we're here. like they did with Starfield. Bobby Kotick's obviously leaving at some point. Should have been gone years ago. Cretin. And we've seen Xbox they buy these studios and let them get on with it, and they're still in a rut. We see it with Redfall.
Arcane.
Unfortunately, Arcane was in. Bethesda told them we want to make a game that's monetized and makes money. Half of Arcane Studios left because that's not the games they make, and they let them spiral out of control. Obviously, COVID and other things, I can give them a pass on that because there was issues involved, and they sort of learned their lesson. Do Xbox just let Activision get on with it and go, right, do what you want to do. Here's the money. There you go. Because at the end of the day, Xbox have spent $70 billion on them. If Xbox needed to, they would get a COD out every year. That's another $1 billion in their pocket. And they're just going to crack on. It's the thing. Does Phil Spencer go, no, we want you to make the games we know you're capable of, or do they want their money back?
Yeah, but then it's the whole reputation on the line thing, isn't it? Because once you start going down...
But Xbox are blind to it. You turn on your Xbox this week and there's an egregious fucking Modern Warfare 3 advert as soon as you pop your Xbox on.
Yeah, to be fair, though, they do that with all new releases. It's not just Call of Duty. Yeah. I mean, I don't really like the idea of being met with a fucking ad as soon as I turn on any console. Yeah. But obviously, Call of Duty now has got so much more popularity around it, and particularly now that it's technically an Xbox game, these things are going to be sort of flagged up, and I don't know. It's a weird situation that Activision and particularly the development studios are under at the moment, and I just feel like there's not anything left to get excited about when it comes to Call of Duty. Like that the ship has kind of sailed and it's kind of come back with Modern Warfare, but now it's fully just fucking left. Yeah. And I don't know where the franchise goes from. What is the next Call of Duty game going to be? When is it going to come out?
And how's it going to be different? How's it going to improve? It's got to get better.
The issue is, and James...
Couldn't possibly get worse.
James has brought this up, and you have as well, Ben. Like you said with Modern Warfare, if Infinity Ward come out and go, right, we're doing this, this, and this is how the game works, we're going to make it a bit more realistic, no slide cancelling, blah, 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 blah. They have to stick to it. It's not not going...
They weren't allowed to, though,
were
they? They weren't allowed to. I mean, that's evident by the way they were presumably taken off development of Modern Warfare 3, and this DLC that had been created, or the expansion that had been created as part of Modern Warfare 2's life cycle, was then turned into a full game and given to another studio who would do what Activision asked them to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I kind of applaud Infinity Ward for trying to do something a little bit different with Call of Duty, trying to take it into a new direction. And at one point, everyone was praising Modern Warfare 2019 for those exact reasons, for freshening up or refreshing the franchise, making something kind of a bit more unique, a bit different to what Call of Duty has been for the previous sort of 10 years, and trying something new. I mean, I remember playing the beta for Modern Warfare 2019, and the thing that really sold me on this sort of rebooted franchise was playing one of the maps at night with night vision goggles in like the realism game mode. It was so tactical and it was so much fucking fun. And I was like, yeah, this is something I can totally get behind, because I'm sick of having the last 10 years of Call of Duty being the way it is. Like, I'm bored of that game now.
Yeah, and there's nothing else like that.
Yeah, and I mean, like tactical shooters are obviously they're huge for specific people, and like I just feel like there's not a space. Well, there isn't a game like that in the AAA gaming space, the popular sort of like mainstream gaming space.
And it blended the whole like tactical realism with that casual playstyle. You didn't have to be a Tarkov pro to get that experience. You could just play it at home on your console.
You look at the success of Counter-Strike 2. I jump on that game occasionally. Like me and Femi play at like 3 a.m. because that kid don't sleep. And like I've not a twitchy sort of shooter, but I can go on there, have fun, have a good game. But and if Call of Duty wanted to do, obviously it's not going to be the same as Counter-Strike, but the shooting mechanics in Call of Duty games are spot on. Like they might be the best in the business.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely up there.
And so if they wanted to make, even if you see this stupid Call of Duty hub now, if they've made that tactical mode, keep it in the game, because there is people that want to play a new style of game, but I don't. It's obviously Activision wanting money, and they just bow down to peer pressure.
Well, they should maybe do what like Fortnite's done. So Fortnite has obviously got such an insane amount of, well, the player base on Fortnite is absolutely immense. So if you go onto Fortnite now, you've got a massive list of like hundreds of different game modes that you can play because they know they've got the amount of players to fill most of those game modes. If you're struggling with player count, then you're not going to oversaturate the amount of modes there are to play because you may not fill all of those lobbies. So maybe Call of Duty, knowing it's got an insane player count, keep those game modes in that some people love. Not everyone has to love it, but we love that fucking night vision mode one.
The only problem is that I think that the type of game Infinity Ward wanted to make is inherently linked to the core game mechanics. Like they don't want a game that you can slide cancel and bunny hop in. They don't want to make that game. That was evident with Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
But the fact is that like if they take those elements out of the game, you get the reaction we got from people that has led to Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, what are you supposed to do? If you're Infinity Ward, you know you want to make X type of game, but you can't because you're going to alienate basically your entire fan base because the majority of Call of Duty players now, like I think we need to remember in this argument or in this discussion, like we are the minority. Like what we want from a new Call of Duty game is not the same as what the majority of players want from a new Call of Duty game. We can sit here and say, you know, Infinity Ward, they're trying to do something a little bit different. They're trying to do something a little bit creative with the franchise, but that's not what most people want, and that is so evident. And this is why, like, Infinity Ward are kind of wasted on Call of Duty at the moment because they can make such a better game than what Call of Duty is.
You really convinced me there because it's like if that is what Infinity Ward want to do, and then they have to split the development with other studios who do want to add slide cancelling everything is to appease the crowd, then Infinity Ward do have to bend the knee and do what the masses want. Whereas like you said, if they do make their own game and can do whatever they like, as well as like with DMZ too, like another great addition, but not everyone loved DMZ. Obviously, if you compared Warzone player count to DMZ player count, it's completely different. But I know, for instance, my dad and his band of brothers that he plays with, they love DMZ. It's the only thing that they played. And now DMZ's kind of been replaced with zombies and it's a bit different and so on. But could you imagine like a game that played like 2019 Modern Warfare that was slow and tactical, and then you tied DMZ into that, and I don't know, just let Infinity Ward off the hook.
You can see what they were trying to do. You can see the vision for what the game, for what they wanted the game to be. But you know, you'll never stop Call of Duty players playing the game like Call of Duty, like the way they want to play it. They just want it to be a fast-paced arcade shooter. That's what they want. Whereas we'd prefer something a bit more tactical. That's just not what the masses want. That's not why people go to Call of Duty. And you know, maybe we just, us in particular, we need to just take a step back and wait for another studio to develop the kind of game that we're looking to play.
Could that studio be Bungie?
Not anytime soon. If we're fucking talking about
2025,
we're talking about what's been going on with that studio. So Bungie, the Bungie are going through a bit of a time of it at the moment. I think most people would probably say it's their own detriment, to be honest. Like it's their kind of, in part, their own sort of fault. I think how many people did they lay off? A couple of hundred people, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I heard around 100, but a percentage that makes it seem a bit more alarming, it was maybe 8 to 10% of their staff count. So that maybe paints a picture of how large that actually is. But yeah, so for those who don't know, Bungie's had some layoffs recently of around 100 and so people due to Destiny 2 underperforming and obviously player sentiment being in the bin for the game. So it's a bit of a sticky situation for Bungie.
Yeah.
And
it's a real kind of shit situation, I think. Like the layoffs of it's never nice to hear that something like this has happened, particularly in, you know, an industry that we're so invested in, an industry we're so passionate about. But it just seems to be the trend this year. I don't know what's been going on with these studios. I don't know why there's been all these mass layoffs, but it feels like, you know, there's been a lot of kind of overshoot from the people managing the money. You know, Bungie recently opened a probably very expensive new headquarters.
Yeah, I heard it
in
was
Bellevue, I think it was
super
Washington.
expensive.
And when your primary IP that gives you all the money that you've got is not working so well, maybe that could have been delayed a little bit. Maybe that wasn't entirely necessary. As a result, the workforce are the ones who, the developers, the people just like day to day, are the ones who have to suffer for it.
And what's ironic is they're
Yeah.
actively looking for other positions as well. So it's like, we'll trim the crowd here or trim the workforce here, and we're still looking for people there. They're also saying as well that obviously you got the new DLC coming out soon, which has now been delayed. But some people are saying, or I think it's maybe some internal people are saying, that the company's mindset at the minute is that this new DLC, the Final Stand, I think it's called,
The Final Shape,
is like the Final Shape, sorry, is literally make or break. So they're aiming to make this fucking the best DLC the game's ever seen, because it quite literally has to be the best DLC the game's ever seen. It has to be.
Yeah.
So the company has that mindset because it knows that the player sentiment right now is at an all-time low, most likely. I mean, we used to love jumping on Destiny back in the day, but I don't remember the last time I even considered pressing play on Destiny recently. So it's and then you've got, obviously they've got another IP announced last year, I think it was Marathon.
That's a few months ago, wasn't it? Marathon at
yeah,
whatever
it's like
event it was.
Yeah,
it's 2025 now.
Yeah, delayed until 2025.
So I'm curious as to, like, it's obviously Bungie now are a PlayStation studio. I'm curious as to what Sony's understanding of the situation at the studio was when they went to acquire them, or were they not bothered about any of this? Because, I mean, the reason, presumably the reason a like PlayStation or an Xbox want to acquire a certain studio, yes, obviously there's a business side to it, but I think the other part is because they will develop a great game for your portfolio, for your console.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, Destiny was never going to become a first-party game anyway. I don't know if Marathon will be a first-party game or not.
No, it's not.
But well, it's. I wonder what the thinking was there, because all of this has seemingly come out of, well, for most people like us players, it's kind of come out of nowhere. There's these mass layoffs and these, essentially what is a big budget restriction for what is going to be their upcoming games.
I've kind of got a vague memory. I remember when there was this like crazy race for these large publishers to try and get some live service games under their belt. And I think so Bungie or Destiny for Sony was like, Sony haven't really got many live service games, and that was a quick, fast, let's grab Destiny. It's doing really well. It's a live service game. It makes tons of money beyond game sales themselves. Let's just grab Bungie. So I think maybe that was like a rush decision at the time, and another company that they can keep at arm's length.
The problem is, I don't think, obviously Sony knew what they were buying with Bungie, but it doesn't feel like it's a rush, because Bungie are best in class. You look at games that have tried to be Destiny, they haven't worked.
I mean, it's a good, like, we talk about Infinity Ward being a sort of A-class first-person shooter developer. Bungie, they're probably you could call them pioneers in that genre with Halo. Revolutionised the genre.
Sony saw Bungie as more of a partnership. That's why Bungie is still working similar to Xbox and Bethesda, which we brought up earlier. They're working to the side of PlayStation and not necessarily
kind of semi-independently.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but they brought them into, obviously they were trying to make 12 live service games. Bungie came in overseas. You see famously with Last of Us Faction said not good enough. Put that on ice for a little while.
It's a bit rich now, isn't it? When you look back at everything that's happened recently, you think, fucking hell.
And then obviously Sony have now, Jim Ryan looks like he's retiring. I think he's been shown the door. Yeah. Connie Booth's been pushed out. I think Sony have clearly saw this isn't working. This isn't what they want. And I think Herman Huss. So big changes for PlayStation next year. And they're trimming 12 live service games to 6 live service games.
Yeah.
So...
But wait, so sorry, they're trimming 12 down to 6.
They had 12
in
in development.
In development.
And they've just canned
they've
6.
binned off half of them.
Damn.
And so one will be.
Were any of those announced? Sorry,
You've
maybe other
got
than Marathon.
Last of Us, Marathon, Concords, Fairgrounds, the Jade Raymond game looked similar to the finals.
Oh,
that got
oh
announced.
yeah. I know what you mean.
That was 4 of them that I think we know of. Some of them might have been, so they've stepped away from that. But Bungie, I think their own issues are down to the suits in charge.
Yeah,
you see the video of Alana Pierce obviously has contact with people that works at Bungie. The devs are saying we want the game to be the best the game can be, and the suit. Why was Destiny 2 free to play? You could have charged 60, 70 quid for that game. And they've monetized everything, and we've spoke about in the past, Diablo, for example, Call of Duty, for example, Apex, whatever. You get sick of every time you go on the game. By the way, you can buy this. By the way, you can buy this. And then DLCs come out, and they're not really DLCs. They're more different shaders and different skins, and they remove missions. They add new missions, and they take huge portions. The game's a mess.
It's weird because like they're trying to. It's strange because when I look at Destiny, I don't really see it as like a live service game, whatever that means, like in the traditional sense. Like to me, Destiny is a co-op shooter, and it's meant to be played with like a couple of mates, and it's just like there's story content and then there's PvP. Like I don't understand how the live service element of this game really fits into Destiny, what it was when it first sort of arrived back in whenever it came out, 2014 or whatever it was. And them making Destiny 2 free to play was probably one of the biggest mistakes they could have made. And, you know, if you've got people like in that video that you mentioned, kind of telling leadership, we need to do something about this game. We need to change the way this game works because we're losing player sentiment and our player base is dwindling and we're going to suffer for it. And they ignore you. They've only really got themselves to blame.
Yeah, and then they cut the jobs because the game's not performing well, even though these developers were pointing out the fucking holes in the floor.
The issue is, it's a worrying trend. You look at Respawn openly saying we want to make Titanfall 3, and EA are like, no, Apex, stay with that. That's making us money.
Yeah.
Unity have cut people this week. They've just announced massive profits. Epic Games. Fortnite makes $1 billion a day at this fucking point. That game makes more money than the Bank of England. Cutting people,
it's nuts, isn't it?
And
they said they were overspending. Like what the fuck are they overspending on?
The Epic Game Store hasn't made a profit since it started.
Yeah,
and they still can go and give Remedy, here's 12 months exclusive money, and they're trying to make it a thing. And I respect them for it, but what happens when Fortnite drops off the face of the earth? What's next?
Ever will.
I think, you know, it's funny because I was reading a little bit about the guy who's the CEO of Epic Games. I can't remember what his name was, but the article was really interesting because it was saying about like reasons why Epic's kind of in the situation that it's in. And apparently this guy, I can't remember his name. I literally read it like before this we started this. But the guy, apparently he was he's been so obsessed with like chasing this idea of like the metaverse and implementing that into Fortnite. They kind of have something of that kind of going on at the moment with Fortnite. Is it Fortnite Creations or whatever? What's it called, Ben? When you can like make your own maps and stuff like that.
But anyway, I think you're close. Yeah,
they've got that going on. But then it kind of feels like that it's not quite the idea that they wanted it to be in the first place. And there's always a bunch of other shit going on with this guy. And but yeah, the article is basically saying that he's made a lot of bad decisions with Epic and then also with the store as well. Like you say, Connor, like competing with Steam. Like I don't think you can compete with Steam at this stage. So you've got to be real smart with how you launch a new PC storefront. And yeah, I mean, like the layoffs are just coming fucking thick and fast at the moment from everywhere. In one of the biggest years in gaming that we've had, in terms of the actual games themselves being incredible.
Like,
it's been a great year.
I've read like an amazing article which was like, if you were to look at the meta scores for the top games that have come out this year, this has literally been one of the highest quality game years for decades. I think it goes back to like maybe 2003
and it's
not
even just like the meta scores. Like we're speaking about Sony and Bungie. PlayStation have just broke another record for. I think they're nearly at
Spider-Man.
50 million units sold, and they haven't released many games for the PS5.
Yeah,
They're going to have
Spider-Man's
a
like the
massive year.
fastest selling PS5 exclusive ever.
PlayStation have got a 51% market share in the UK now. Like, they own the market completely, and it's like 90% in other regions. They're kicking everyone in the teeth this generation with sales, and it's still like, you're not making money, we're going to rip all these people from you. It's worrying because
it's how much money they need.
Yeah, and the problem is video games have got to the point now where a Sony product costs $200 to $250 million to make, and that is mainly salaries. So they're trying to cut and cut and cut, and then what happens?
Salaries and marketing.
There's a part of me that kind of understands. I'm just saying, from like, if you were to get a game and you were to hire everyone that you needed to make that game, obviously, rationally, once that game has been made, there are going to be many jobs that aren't necessary anymore. I completely get that.
That's a constant theme within video games. You see it with Starfield. I think something come out recently about, or it was maybe Redfall for Arcane. So basically, towards the end of a game's cycle of development, they will bring in like contractors or like freelancers. Essentially, they'll come in. You'll get an 8-month contract or a 12-month contract. You'll come in, help finish the game off, and then you're out the door. So like the constant sort of cycle of developers coming in and out is quite a recurring theme within the industry. But people at Bungie, like you said, they've just made a new complex. They've got over 1,000 employees. They're gearing up for Marathon to come out, which is Bungie's first new IP in a decade. And they've got this Final Shape DLC that could literally make or break Destiny 2. And they're getting rid of people.
Yeah.
Bite the bullet. Yeah. Sit there and, do you know what? I'm not going to take my bonus this year.
Don't open up a new fucking headquarters when you don't need to.
Yeah. It's the problem with the suits in charge. And have you seen what the Take-Two CEO's fucking saying about video games lately?
No.
They're too cheap. And this is a guy that
Take-Two, obviously they develop or publish. They own Rockstar, don't they?
Yeah.
So there's like, I read something that like ages ago that people were speculating that GTA 6 could be the first $100 game. Like base game costs $100 to come out. Apparently, obviously GTA 6 has been announced in some ways. We're getting the trailer in December, obviously extremely hyped for. I read something else interesting, that apparently this game is going to cost upwards of $1 billion to make. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with this game.
I mean, but I also saw something that apparently Rockstar or Take-Two published their fiscal year projections and stuff. But they're predicting that in the fiscal year of 2025, that they'll make over $8 billion in sales on just games alone. Nuts. Compared that to, I think it was this year or last year, where they projected maybe like 4 to maybe 3 or 4 billion. So this person's like report was basically saying they're going to have to either release 10 fucking top tier games or one absolute behemoth of a game, and that might correlate with the whole £100 price tag, especially if this guy's also saying games are too cheap.
I've got a feeling it'll be $60 for the £60 for the base game, and then the GTA Online will be a paid expansion. That might be how they do it.
That would be insanely risky for them to do that. That would be seriously risky for them to do that.
And the thing is, they can release a game at $60, $70, and they'll be fine. GTA 5 is the highest selling media product of all time. And we've been waiting 10 years for a new one. Or longer than that now. It's like 13 years, isn't it? 12 years? 13 years?
2013, I think it came out.
It's been a while.
Oh, no, it's Xbox 360.
Yeah, it's fucking, what am I talking about? It's Xbox. It's
2012?
No, what? GTA 4? I think that might be
GTA 5.
Oh, 5, obviously.
Yeah.
So GTA 5 came out in 2013.
There's one thing that's going to piss me off though, and I just know they're going to do it. They're going to release it on Xbox and PS5, and they won't release it on PC for a year. I guarantee it. They are going to do it, and it's going to piss me the fuck off because I'm sick of it. Just release the game on PC.
Because
don't be stingy.
Double thing. They want people who are desperate to play it, who have PCs, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy it on my console, they're gonna get all of us like they got all of us on GTA 5, where everyone ended up buying it fucking 3 times.
But the thing is, though, like I'm not fucking buying it on PS5 as well to play it at 30 frames per second either. Especially if the game's going to cost more than a regular sort of game as well.
Yeah, I'll wait.
I'm drawing the line under this. I don't give a fuck. Like I'm not going to do what I
mugging
did with
me off this
GTA
time.
5 and buy it 4 times.
Plus, there was an air of mystery around the GTA 5 release because it came out when there wasn't really. I don't know if the next gen console had been like fully like announced or released yet. So everyone was like, "We have to buy it on these consoles." Then the next gen consoles come out, and it's like, "Of course, I'm fucking buying it." Then it came out on PC, and you're like, "Oh fuck yeah, let's buy it again a third time." Here's fucking 180 quid or something stupid from most people.
Plus shark cards and whatever.
Yeah.
Shark cards.
But the problem is they make a quality product. No one would have bought a game 3 times.
Well, I was gonna say like, so let's say GTA 6 does come out. It does come out to PC as well, but it costs £99. Are you buying it?
Yeah. Because I'm gonna be able to play it for 10 years. I would have paid
$150. This is exactly what I'm saying. Like they can do whatever they want. They don't give a fuck. They can charge $100 for a game if they want to, because chumps like us are going to buy it. Because at the end of the day, this game, it likely will be the game of a generation. But because they always are.
The one thing is, Rockstar are fortunate. I wouldn't say fortunate, it's come from hard work. They've put themselves in that position. If Naughty Dog's next game's 100 quid, I'm going to pay it because I trust that studio. If EA's next game's 100 quid, you can go and fucking jump off a pier. I'm not paying for it.
If Sam Lake was like, buy my next game, it's £100, I'm buying it.
And if Rockstar come out and say, look, the base game's 60 quid and then online's £20, okay, no worries. Because I'm going to be able to play that for a decade.
What about if they did like a subscription for the online?
I'd pay it.
Well, they've got a subscription now, haven't they? They've got GTA Online or GTA Plus, whatever it is.
Oh,
I know the online is like free to play anyway, but what the subscription does is gives you like a monthly kind of reward thing. So I think you get a certain amount of in-game money. You get access to like special
Fortnite
vehicles
does the same.
and
like a
stuff
soft.
like that.
Oh yeah, like the Fortnite crew of club
Pass or whatever it is, or whatever it's called.
If it was £7 a month, and because then if I go right, I know when the game first comes out, I can play that for 3 or 4 months straight, and then after 4 months, I'm like, I can cancel that. I'm not playing online at the moment, and then I can jump in and jump out.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if they'll do maybe some kind of like separate online portion, perhaps. I don't know if that would ever be a thing. You know, like with Warzone being separate from Call of Duty.
The rumours of this game is, and I think this is why I would pay $100 if this is true, or £100, is this game's going to evolve throughout its life cycle.
Right.
So like they're going to be adding things to the map and new locations and stuff like that. That's like one of the constant long running rumours. It'll be like the game's going to be set in Miami, and then I know at some point there'd be like Cuba or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
interesting.
if the game's constantly evolving and you see the amount of updates there to GTA Online and stuff, I don't mind because I know it's generally going to be a quality product.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with that, but I mean, I think we have to sort of draw a line somewhere. I mean, the games are going to get expensive anyway because it's just the nature of anything, inflation, etc., development costs. But yeah, I'd be surprised if it was $100. I think that's a little bit extreme.
I do.
But,
so it'd probably be like 70, maybe £70.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've also got the Steam Deck 2.0.
How do you feel about that? 2.0. I don't give a flying fuck about the Steam Deck.
So I did buy the Steam Deck, or like I pre-ordered it when there was this window of opportunity. They really got me good because it was like, oh, you've been on Steam for ages. Here's like a premium pass, if you like, to like, I don't know how to say it. Basically, get in early, like an early supporter thing. Okay. So I signed up for it, and then months went past. I basically got the email saying like, you've got 48 hours to buy the Steam Deck if you want it. You've got your reservation. It's ready to be sent out to you.
And you
can
want to miss
ignore
out.
this email and we'll you can ignore this email and we'll send it out to the next person, or we can or you can buy it. So
that's like some fucking mob bullshit in it. It's like you've got 48 hours to cough up the cash for this.
So I did buy it, and I'm glad I did, even though I barely play it now. But to be fair, my partner plays it all the time. She's playing games like Stardew Valley, and there's one she's playing now, Fae Farm. She's really into Fae Farm, which is like Stardew Valley mixed with Animal Crossing and stuff. So it's great for that. But obviously, the Steam Deck 2.0, some people are calling it. It's not really been officially named anything
OLED
yet.
Ooh.
Yeah, so there are some changes. The list of changes are quite extensive, but apparently Steam were not really trying to mug anyone off too much, and they didn't actually upgrade the hardware itself that much. So, for instance, the processor's exact same.
We're just going to charge you more, but fuck all's changed but the screen.
Yeah, so, the screen's changed.
It's more of a refresh, really, than an upgrade.
Yeah, it's the version that they want to release.
Oh.
If they could release it today and not
bullshit.
No,
man.
it's propaganda.
No, to be fair, I feel mugged off because
they've released it now because the Nintendo Switch 2 is coming out next year and it's going to kick the living shit out of the Steam Deck. And it's going to break console sale records.
But it's a part of me that feels like I understand it, but why release it? I know it makes you kind of answered my question before I even said it. Was like, why release it now? Because you risk upsetting so many people who have been the early supporter. Because
I thought it was announced really early, like this new update, weirdly out of nowhere.
Have you got everyone who is a big fan of Steam to get your product now, and now my budget for a product like that is completely gone, and then after a year, maybe 2 years, release the Steam Deck 2.0. Now I feel mugged off because it's like a new iPhone every year.
It's weird that it came out a month before Christmas, isn't it? Very weird.
Yeah. Well, I think you can start ordering it from the 15th of November, I think.
Yeah.
Which is around the corner.
Is like 2 days now, 3 days.
But yeah, it's got big OLED. It's got mostly the same hardware. Yeah, 50% longer battery, better cooling, lighter, quieter. But other than that, they're saying that the hardware mostly is the same. To provide the same. Oh, you haven't been mugged off that much.
It's got a new windscreen and some lights.
I think it might have been Digital Foundry I was watching, or someone like that. But they were saying that, Valve claim there's no performance upgrade, but from our testing, there is a performance upgrade.
Well, because I saw this bit, so that there is technically faster memory. Apparently, there is a more efficient AMD.
Technically faster memory, more storage, better screen, better this, better that, better everything.
So, I mean, I do feel a little bit.
What's the price difference between the original Steam Deck and this one?
I think so. This one here, I don't know what version this is because this first Steam Deck came out in 3 different variants.
Yeah, I remember.
I think it's like 350, 450, 550. I don't know what variant this website's talking about, but this one is 550. So I don't know if this is the
So this is
cheapest.
the top of the line one, and they're probably
Possibly.
because you got. I think the base version or the cheapest version of Steam Deck now is what the most expensive version was previously, and then the middle version is the first one with like the OLED screen and the upgrades, and then the more expensive one is all the upgrades plus more memory. I think that's what I could kind of gather from what I've seen.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, you're right, James. So it's 350 for the standard, but that standard is the
previously most expensive one.
They've just dropped it down some tiers.
Yeah, basically just done that, haven't they? Like shifted that one down and knocks the other two up.
But I think they've added
that makes sense.
Extra 30 quid on top as well.
Dickheads.
Mad.
But yeah. Well, it looks like an interesting device. I mean, I don't think I'd ever have a need for a Steam Deck or any sort of PC portable device.
No.
But, fair enough.
It's definitely one of those purchases I made where it was like in the moment.
I understood why you did it though, because you travel for work.
You're away for half the week, so
it makes
sense for you to have a Steam Deck. You're the sort of person that would have a Steam Deck.
Yeah, and that's the exact reason why I got it. And then, not to sound like a pompous prick, but it's like I could never have the moment to myself to play it because I'm very fortunate to have some friends that I can go around and stay at theirs.
Ooh, friend.
But going around
your only 2 friends are here.
Yeah, but then to go around their house and then just like
play Candy Crush.
I'm just gonna don't talk to me. I'm playing my Steam Deck, so it's like you always have to then talk to everyone, and it's like can't even play my Steam Deck anyway because I have to communicate. So you
don't have to.
Well,
it's a choice.
Yeah.
if I want to keep staying there, I got to. Yeah, this is great. Thank you for having me stay.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah, dinner. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, really nice. Thank you.
So, yeah.
Well, lots been going on recently, isn't there? Fucking, I feel like we obviously haven't had a chat or a catch up about that for ages because a whole hour's flown by before we've managed to even get to our main topic, which we will swiftly move to now. So, for today's main topic, even though we've been talking already for fucking ages, yeah, we're stitch this on it, and this can be the outro. We thought we'd dive into the world of cloud gaming and check out some of the streaming services on offer because we think cloud gaming is an interesting concept, perhaps not one that is entirely viable for everyone right now, but certainly one that has some potential for the future of gaming. Between us, we've all checked out the popular services from both PlayStation, Xbox, and Nvidia, and I think Amazon as well. And we thought we'd have a chat about our experiences and about cloud gaming generally. So I just want to start off by saying I had a very positive experience with GeForce Now. So
I did too.
Yeah.
Well,
so
with my.
Do you want to start, Ben? Do you want to get us
So yeah, we between the three of us, we divided up the sort of main suppliers of cloud gaming software at our leisure or at our availability. I chose Xbox because I actually was making my way through the Gears of War games, and Gears of War 2 is an Xbox 360 game, only ever came out in the Xbox 360, and now is only currently available if you either stream it through the Xbox Game Pass cloud service, or obviously if you have an Xbox 360. So I chose Xbox Game Pass. I believe, Connor, you played with the PlayStation's streaming service.
I've done PlayStation, Luna, and Game Pass.
Nice. And then James, your main ones were, I won't say it in case I get it wrong.
GeForce Now.
GeForce Now. That's
all
yeah.
I did because and do you want to start, Ben? Do you want to talk us through your experiences?
So Xbox Game Pass, it's obviously so the cloud service is included part of the Game Pass if you buy the Ultimate Edition monthly. So there are two different versions of the Game Pass. You can just get the normal Game Pass version, which is I think just for PlayStation, just for Xbox.
PlayStation's is similar. I had to be a certain tier on PlayStation Plus, so they're about the same price, I think.
Yeah. Okay. And then you've got the Ultimate version, which then opens it up for all PC players, as well as the cloud gaming service. You get complete access to a huge library of games, as well as all of Xbox's first-party games, which is actually quite a good deal. And you can stream those games also. So Starfield, for instance, recently came out, and if you didn't have the PC or a console even at the time, you could play on your phone, playing Starfield, streaming it through the cloud, and it's actually quite a good experience. A bit of a timeline. So Game Pass Game Pass was announced in 2017, and only in 2020 did the cloud service come out. So it's been out for a few years. It's still technically in its beta phase, and
because they haven't actually got a proper name for it yet, have they? Because they were at one point calling it xCloud, and now it's just Xbox Cloud Gaming Beta.
Yeah. And in 2021, a year after the Game Pass kind of came out, or the Game Cloud, I don't even know what to call it anymore, came out, they did actually upgrade all the hardware so that if you were streaming a game over the cloud, you would be running on the Xbox Series X hardware, which was kind of quite good. Imagine if you could only afford the X, but you wanted to play a game on your X, you could stream a game on your S, technically playing on an X over the cloud. Obviously, with cloud gaming, cloud streaming, whatever it's called, there's some concerns over latency and performance, and maybe not quite having that 1 millisecond response time that you're used to at home. And I remember playing, I don't know what service it was on, but I think I played it was the Google one, Stadia. I tried a game, and the latency was just completely spoiled my whole experience. I tried to move in the game, and after maybe half a second, my input would register, and it wasn't It wasn't
Well,
like playing a game at home.
yeah, that's the interesting thing about Stadia actually, because like during this sort of experiment with cloud gaming, I've been thinking to myself, what? Because I never got to experience Stadia. Obviously, it shut down earlier this year. I've been thinking to myself, what does Nvidia and PlayStation and Xbox do right that Google didn't do right with Stadia? And I think the biggest single complaint was just the performance of it was just
Yeah.
trash. Like they just couldn't get it right. And because basically Google Stadia, when it first came out, it was a little bit different from what was on offer with like Xbox and stuff, because Stadia was essentially unlocking your library to take with you wherever you went. So much like GeForce Now, you need to own the games to be able to stream them. So with GeForce Now, it's not something like Xbox or PlayStation where you get access to a wide library that you can stream from. You need to own the games to be able to stream it. So it's basically like making your library portable. That's essentially all it is. And it's interesting because Google Stadia did this and they received quite a lot of backlash for it at the time. But I think even up to now, Xbox are actively working on implementing this feature as well into their streaming platform. So they want you to be able to stream the games you own, even if they're not on the library or in the library that they offer.
Interesting.
I think Stadia is very much right idea, wrong time.
Yeah, they just weren't. They just didn't have the knowledge or the experience to kind of get it off the ground.
With the PlayStation cloud gaming, I don't know if this got a specific name. It's obviously they give you a library of games to play, like in the PlayStation collection and stuff like that, and then you can also stream any game you own.
Interesting.
And I think like from my experience with Nvidia, like I'm not for people that don't really sort of game on PC, they may not be familiar with Nvidia, but when we talk about tech companies, like Nvidia need to be talked about in the same kind of breath as Microsoft or Apple or anyone else, because they basically pioneered the sort of external graphics card, and their chips and their processors that they make are just insane. Like they know exactly what they're doing. They're not chumps. They know how to make hardware.
They're
and
always
now
a step
software,
ahead.
always a step ahead. And I guess was maybe skeptical when I first tried out GeForce Now, but I was actually quite stunned with what I saw when I played Control on streaming it, when I played Cyberpunk, even Alan Wake 2, like 3 massive games. I was able to stream them all at like super high quality in 4K, 120 FPS, ray tracing, maxed out graphics, cranked right up, and it was like a flawless experience.
Wow.
I was really honestly quite surprised with what I was seeing.
I mean, I was impressed when you were telling me about the fact that you could obviously use keyboard and mouse. A limitation with the Xbox Game Pass.
That was my biggest issue with the Game Pass on PC.
Yeah, even though, so Connor and I, we played Halo together, Halo Infinite co-op campaign. But obviously on our computers, streaming it, but we are completely limited to controller, because we're playing it on a console device somewhere in the world, or at least we're playing on the hardware of a console. It might be a big old server room, who knows? But obviously we can't use keyboard and mouse inputs because we're not playing on a computer. Whereas with you, James, you're playing on an actual PC somewhere, probably in the world, and your keyboard and mouse inputs would register
But
completely.
I'm pretty sure the X has got keyboard and mouse capabilities anyway.
Most likely. But I think that's just a limitation of the cloud service, isn't it?
It's weird. It is weird.
I don't know what the answer to that is. So I think you might have answered it earlier, because I remember, we obviously done it this week. You two played Halo Infinite, played it, streamed it via the cloud. I watched you as you broadcasted it on Discord, and it looked pretty good from what I could tell. Like it looked decent.
I mean, the latency was absolutely excellent. My inputs were just solid. The second I'd move my thumbstick or jump or shoot, it was immediate. I didn't feel any delay. I don't remember if I was watching you, James, because my memory's getting blurred. But I remember with you in GeForce Now, you could actually get a heads-up display on your latency and your like game
and you
latency.
Change filters and all sorts. It was cool.
Yeah. Honestly, the GeForce Now, I'm like super impressed by it. I mean, you definitely get what you pay for. It's the most expensive service of them all. It's $17.99, I think. But I think that price is actually going up as of April next year. So that's interesting. But like you say, I'm streaming these games from a RTX 4080 powered PC, which is basically the most powerful graphics card you can get, bar the 4090. It's capable of maxing out basically any game at any point. and yeah, I'm playing on a 4K screen as well, so I was able to play in 4K. And yeah, like you say, Connor, for people that are familiar with the GeForce overlay, you get the game filters and things like that. You have access to all of that when you're playing the game, so I can use like extra sharpening on the game if I'm using DLSS. I get to tweak all the graphics settings as well within the game to improve my performance, because I am, again, playing off of a PC. And yeah, just an all-round like great experience.
That was an issue I had with Xbox Game Pass. Was it felt like I had my settings on low.
Yeah,
but I've played Halo Infinite on an S and it looked better than it did on my PC.
That's interesting.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? We've been spoiled as guys who can run Halo on their systems, maxed out the settings, and have seen what that's like, to then play the streamed version of it, where you do have slight, obviously, drop in bitrate. You're not getting exactly what that console is spitting out. You're getting a stream of that, so there's some bitrate refreshes that you see coming down the screen every now and again. The latency was really good, but obviously the graphics themselves are completely the same way on a console, where you can never change your graphics. You couldn't change your graphics through this service, so you were playing on whatever the console's limitations were. And I think the streaming service for Xbox is just 1080p, 60 FPS if the game / console can support it. Because obviously I also tried Redfall as well, and that game is capped at 30. So having like a game that didn't run very well, capped at 30, streamed, and obviously it's quite, even though the game was maybe quite demanding for the streaming service, so I got a lot of this bitrate refreshing going on, where you'd move the camera and
you'd literally see like a waterfall coming down the screen.
Yeah, as it would refresh down the page, and it was quite jarring, definitely unplayable, I'd say. But I blame the game more for that than the streaming service, because obviously everyone knows that game was super unoptimized. So playing an unoptimized game and streaming it, not a good combo.
I jumped into Sea of Thieves. I streamed it and it ran brilliantly. Graphically, again, it was the same as Halo, sort of low settings, but fidelity wise and like fantastic, run so smooth.
And then I played an old school game, and now I've got a question that I couldn't find the answer to. I did try to find out, but I played Gears of War 2, like I said at the beginning, an Xbox 360 game. So when I was then streaming that game, am I streaming that from a 360, or am I streaming that from
an X,
a Series X? Okay.
Because I think with most old 360 games, when you're streaming them or playing them on Xbox, the X boosts them. It gives them like a frame boost.
You can play them, because obviously Xbox, the Series X and the S have got like complete backwards compatibility, so you can play any game from Xbox's entire library. You can pop the disc into your Xbox Series X and it will run the game.
Because the only thing that threw me off, because I was under that assumption, I was going to assume, but then I got the old school Xbox 360 UI from the console itself come up, and I was like, I don't know if I'm on a X now. But
if you play it, like I've got an S and you do that and you play, like I went back and played like Skate 2 or 3 was, I think Skate 3 was on Game Pass for a little while. And then if you click like the Xbox button, like the old dash comes out and it throws you for a bit.
Threw me off.
Like, whoa, what the fuck?
So I was like, maybe I am on a 360 then.
Throwback.
Sorry. Yeah. But playing on a game like Gears of War 2, a lot older, the graphics can be absolutely annihilated by most systems today. That was probably maybe the best performing game, because I got no bitrate refreshes on that, because obviously it can process that game extremely well, so it can give full bandwidth to sending it over the cloud, if you like, if that's how it works. Once again, latency was great. I did try it a while ago, but I wouldn't recommend it. There was a mod that you could download for Game Pass that allows you to use keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
Even though obviously you have to use a controller. I did try it on a game like Gears of War, which is super unoptimized for a keyboard and mouse. Obviously, it didn't work well. Maybe it works better for other games that maybe are made for keyboard and mouse, but obviously you're limited because you're playing it on the console. Anyway, but yeah, in overall, I actually found the Xbox Game Pass cloud service thing pretty good, especially when you consider what you get. You get a massive library of games. You can use it on any device pretty much, phone, iOS
Yeah.
now, I
So
think,
the mad
PC,
thing is
laptop.
now is that you're getting native Game Pass apps now coming pre-installed with certain televisions. So
Yeah,
all you need to do is connect a controller to your
and you're
TV
fucking
via
good to go.
Bluetooth, which all modern smart TVs support, and you are literally good to go. So you don't need a console whatsoever, which is
Yeah.
a crazy thought.
I mean, I'm super impressed with that. And then because of like, well, maybe something we should have mentioned is we all have very good internet. I think James and I know, well, I'll speak for myself. I've got 500 meg to my house. I know Connor's got maybe a terabyte,
I've got
800 to his
900.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, 900. I'm not quite sure what you've got, I know it's up there.
Yeah, I think my benefit was for some, I don't know why, but my latency was just insanely low. Like my
Yeah.
internet's not that fast. It's 300 megabyte like download.
Yeah, it's still
It's
speedy.
good. It's quick, but it's not like it's probably quite slow compared to what you can get nowadays. But yeah, I had a real my experience with GeForce, like the latency, because like you said, Ben, I was able to get like a heads up display or like an overlay which showed me my performance, my latency. My latency was always under 5 milliseconds,
Yeah.
which is like
That's mad.
that's like peak performance. Like if I'm playing CS:GO, for example, and my latency is under 5 milliseconds, yeah, fuck it, I'm
Yeah.
tuned in.
I mean, I remember me actually saying, like, how close to zero do you want to get? Because 5 milliseconds is ridiculous. Like, if you're playing just any shooter and you're maybe 20 to 30 ping, latency, whatever, that's really low. And maybe if you hit 60, that's where it starts to get a bit high. 5 milliseconds for streaming a 4K game, 100 plus frames per second, is nuts.
And
Incredible.
how clean did it look? Because I streamed a little bit of Control to you guys as well, and it just looked so clean. Like you were playing it natively.
Yeah, and that's
Crazy.
the thing as well. That game is gorgeous, and you've got all the ray tracing, all the settings cranked to max. You're playing it at 4K. You can use keyboard and mouse all through the Nvidia service.
What was so impressive was, obviously, because you're streaming it, you were changing the settings and it was changing on the fly. It wasn't like, I've got to refresh or I've got to...
Let me log out and log in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like you was playing the game and you was just fucking around in the settings and clicking enter.
But then can you imagine, obviously, we've maybe been spoiled. Again, we've all got quite good computers here. If you were someone who just had a laptop and you wanted to play Control and you got no way on earth to play a game like Control on your laptop, boot up Nvidia now and then fucking play Control on your laptop at max frames, all the graphics you could want, as long as you have a stable, good internet
connection.
Yeah.
Because I remember in a previous episode, months ago in our podcast, we were kind of not really singing the praises for cloud gaming, were we? Because the limitations
it's
that
come
are
a long way.
obvious.
It's come a long way, and I'm glad it's come a long way, because I'm not going to be the sort of the person that sits here and I don't want to A, sound like I'm backtracking, but B, be ignorant to kind of what I've experienced, because after having tried GeForce now like firsthand, I can see there is insane potential for cloud gaming. Like it's insane. I don't know if it will ever go as far as replacing a PC, for example. I can see it maybe replacing consoles, particularly if you're Xbox, because I think that is their end game. That's maybe a whole different conversation. But as far as PCs are concerned, I'm not sure if it can fully replace a PC. But if you are the sort of person, like you mentioned earlier, Ben, like you travel a lot for work and you have a laptop and you're happy to kind of game on a smaller screen or something that's not quite the same as gaming at home on your PC, knowing you can still hit maximum performance from the game that you're streaming.
Even something like a Steam Deck at some point is going to be able to stream it. Like, you see all these handheld devices coming out now that are trying to rival Steam Decks.
Yeah, you got that Asus ROG thing that has got the Game Pass on it, and just a real good combo.
Well, before we, so
I was just going to follow in with your point with like Xbox's end goal. Can you imagine what a difference it would make if they didn't have to manufacture consoles anymore?
Well, they can't sell consoles anyway, so it'd help them out.
Well, everyone makes consoles at a loss. Like PlayStation and Xbox both sell their consoles at a loss, I think. So if they can get out of that,
eliminate
At the end of the day, like we have to remember, Microsoft is a software company as well. They're not a hardware company; they're a software company. So, yeah, this is the sort of thing that they'll be looking at and thinking. I mean, if we can get ahead on this and possibly be innovators in this space, then maybe there's something
We're
there.
laughing. Yeah.
Well, before we kind of like move on and maybe wrap up, kind of talk to us about PlayStation, because you haven't really mentioned it too much. Me and Ben have kind of been taking over this conversation so far.
I also tried out Luna. Luna is hot garbage.
Oh yeah. Oh.
It runs like a PS2. Like
Really?
I played Fortnite on it. I don't know if it's because it's browser based. I don't know if that's causing an issue, but really framey. Even with a wired connection on my PC, graphically not great. I tried Fortnite on it, which I also tried on the PlayStation version, and PlayStation shat all over it.
Really?
I was blown away by, because I'm playing it on a console. I didn't play it on PC. Fortnite, I tried wirelessly and then I tried wired connection as well, just to made sure it was as I could parallel it with Xboxes, because that was a wired connection on my PC. When I played wirelessly with Fortnite, there was a couple of drops, but that's my Wi-Fi dropping. I'm quite far away from the router, so I played wireless, no issues whatsoever. Ran whatever frames. I think it's 60 on PlayStation. Run perfectly, graphically great. And then I tried Control. Again, run perfectly. The only time I had an issue with Control on the PlayStation was I changed from performance mode to graphics mode, and it took like maybe a minute to get used to it, and then it worked fine.
Okay.
But the game that blew me away was I played Miles Morales, Spider-Man, highest settings, 120 frames a second. I think graphically reduced a little bit. Wasn't as crisp as if I downloaded it, but looks stunning.
So, what are you when you're streaming it through that on the PlayStation? Are you playing on another PlayStation 5, or are you playing on maybe more intense? I mean, it must be a PlayStation.
It's got to be
I've got no idea. It's got to be a PS5, surely.
It's got to be a PS5, because PlayStation have been quite quiet about their cloud service, and I'm not. I don't want to be dismissive of Xboxes, but similar latency, but graphically, Sony are looking to stream at 4K and have like 3D audio and all sorts. 4K, they seem to have put the money into it, and they've kept very quiet about it.
The only thing that surprises me, it's like, why buy a PS5 to then stream?
Me and James had a discussion about this the other day, like briefly. If I have to download God of War Ragnarok and it's 150 gigabytes or whatever it is, do you know what? I want to drop in and just play it. I can stream it, and if it's anything like Miles Morales, it's flawless.
Do you have to own the game?
So I can't remember. Don't know if it's PlayStation Premium or they've got weird names for their tiers. It's the highest tier, similar to Game Pass.
I think it's PlayStation Premium is the top tier, isn't it? So you've got PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Extra, and then PlayStation Premium. Plus Premium. Yeah.
Yeah. So Premium and Ultimate are
the same.
Are the same sort of thing. You have to have the highest tier to get the cloud gaming, and then you get a PlayStation collection of games, which you can stream. There's like 200, 300 games on there to stream. That's similar to Game Pass. And then also, if you own a game, you can stream it. So obviously...
So that's interesting about being able to stream the game you can own, because you can't currently do that with Xbox. You can't stream a game that you own. You can only stream what's in their library. So that's interesting that PlayStation have kind of beaten them to the punch with that one.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe like... Obviously, PlayStation have a lot more control maybe with what they can obviously... If you buy it on your console, then they will have the rights to stream it. But with like Xbox, you could potentially own hundreds of games that aren't available through the Game Pass. How would they get the rights to then allow that to be streamed? Yeah. Obviously, with Nvidia, like tried, James, you have to link all of your Steam and your Epic. And that makes sense to then...
But I know on Xbox, I've got my EA linked to it. So there's got to be a way around it.
Yeah.
Because you can link accounts.
Yeah.
Probably
I mean, I'm definitely feel... what's the word? I don't know the best word for it. Like, optimistic about the future of cloud gaming now, when I definitely didn't really care about it before.
No.
But I
I
feel like
was generally so impressed with the PlayStations.
yeah,
Because there is going to be a point where these games are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and these hard drives can't keep up, and you've got to keep buying external hard drives and stuff like that. So, guess what? Last of Us Part 3 is out. It's 180 gig. You
so
own it. Just stream it.
I've got a query then. So if the streaming from PlayStation to PlayStation was so flawless and so good, why do you think there's then the limitation on the PlayStation handheld thing, whatever that's called? I can't remember.
Why can't I stream? It's just the way it's designed. It's just the way it's designed. Like I don't
why
think
can't
it
I
was
stream
designed
from the cloud to that?
Yeah,
because it's not designed to do that.
It's
just pure and simple. It's just not designed to do that.
I generally think this is why Jim Ryan, like we spoke earlier, has been pushed out the door. It's just
how epic could it be?
It would be because
stupid decisions.
Again, they'll have something that Xbox doesn't have.
Yeah, I who have no real interest in buying a PlayStation 5, if I could buy this little device for
and
half
then
the
pay
price,
for PlayStation Premium every month,
and stream the PlayStation games that I can't play because I do not have a PlayStation, I would get that probably. Maybe. I bought the Steam Deck. I've already been mugged off.
You'd have the subscription. You pay for it for 18 months and forget about it. And then you go, oh shit, I'm still getting charged.
And then you come home one day and Rachel's on it.
Yeah, in Stardew Valley. But
well, it's interesting because we all wrote it off. Like it wasn't even that long ago we were talking about cloud gaming. We were thinking, what the fuck is the point in this shit? But I'm genuinely very impressed with what I saw from GeForce now, and it sounds like you guys had equally quite a good experience as well with what you tried out. So it's good to see that the technology is progressing. At least
fascinated to see what Xbox does with cloud gaming when they've come out of beta, because Kojima's got a cloud game in the works for Xbox. So I'm interested to see what they're doing. But PlayStation need to sort of bite the bullet and have cloud gaming on other devices, because if it runs like it did on my PS5, they can really make some waves.
Yeah. I mean...
And also Amazon need to as well, if they're going to get into gaming, fucking dive in, because you keep tiptoeing around it and we've got streaming and it comes with Prime. Go and buy Embracer Group, make your own Game Pass.
And it's also that kind of race in a way, isn't it? People are going to start picking their cloud gaming service home.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, if it comes to that, I've picked mine, GeForce Now. And the thing is as well, like I think from like a PC perspective, the cost of making or the cost of building a PC that can do what I could do with Control, with Cyberpunk, for example, we are talking thousands of pounds here. We're talking $3,000 plus, easy. So you could then just you have to buy the game, but if you buy the game and then you just stream it from a fucking, because you can get like the GeForce Now, or is it the Nvidia Shield, like the little box thing you can plug into your TV, and that's got GeForce Now on it. So all you need is a controller to buy the game digitally and link your account, whether it's Steam or Epic, with GeForce Now, and then get your subscription, and you're up and running, and you can play whatever you want at fucking max settings.
Yeah,
and it's crazy because the cost of that is just a small percentage of what it costs to get yourself up and running on a PC.
Even if you can only afford like a mid-tier PC, if you're paying £700-800 for a piece for a tower, and you're sitting there going, do you know what? Now I can actually play Alan Wake 2 at full settings, and as long as we've got a solid internet connection, more people I think will get into PC gaming, because there's such a barrier for entry for like high level.
Yeah, for that real sort of like top end experience, it's like the cost of it is just insane. So this is the thing. Like I think like Nvidia, I mean, whatever you say we want about it, but they make such a big fuss about their top end graphics cards. They've kind of ignored the mid to low range market. Yeah, and that's where the majority of PC players sit. Like the majority of PC players don't have thousands of pounds to spend. My light's just gone off. Thousands of pounds to spend on graphics cards and PC parts to be able to play games at like the highest possible fidelity when most people want these mid-range stuff. So if you are a PC player who's got a PC but you can only afford like budget hardware, you can still go and play Alan Wake at max settings just by streaming it.
I mean, I've got a few friends that I know don't have the best PCs in the world who could definitely benefit from this service if they so wanted to. Yeah.
So cloud gaming generally quite impressed. I think there's a lot of potential for this service going forward.
I just want, if PlayStation put PlayStation Cloud onto the PC and I just connect my PlayStation, I could sit there
that
and
would
just
be
play
pretty
like
sick,
regular.
to be fair. I mean, that would be quite cool if they could somehow. I thought, wasn't there something that you could get PlayStation like streaming on PC or something? You could somehow podge it so you
PlayStation
could,
Now on it. I think
it was PlayStation Now, and I tried it, but you could
it was
only
garbage.
play PlayStation 3 games.
That's weird.
I think it came out on the PlayStation 4, the whole service, but you could only play PS3 games.
They were doing cloud
or
before
maybe,
Xbox.
because I played like Killzone 2 on the computer, and it was being streamed. This was like at the forefront of streaming when it was first being made, or you know what I mean, delved into. It wasn't good. I couldn't play it for long.
It was awful. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was me, latency, or I'm not sure.
Well, it could be a number of things, couldn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like we all had pretty positive experiences, so I'm interested to see how cloud gaming develops in the future. But I think we've spoken for enough tonight for this episode, so that sounds like a good place to leave it. And hope you enjoyed what you listened to. Hope we didn't bore you too much. But if you want to see more from us, you can check out the links in the description of this episode. You can see our Discord, our YouTube, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.